Welcome back to the Gentleman's Gazette. In today's video, we discuss 16 things that are better the old-fashioned way. As you may notice in everyday life, companies are great into innovation because as humans we like new things and therefore they constantly come up with new products. Sadly, some of those are actually worse than their predecessors, and in today's video we focus on those good old things that are still better and outperform their newer counterparts. Our list of 16 things includes 8 actual things and 8 activities. So let's start with our things. First of all, products. The first thing that's better the old-fashioned way is the clothes brush. As you may know, I'm a big fan of it, and you can check out our video on clothes maintenance to learn more about it. Essentially, you should go for a handmade product because it lasts longer, the bristles will stay in and won't come loose. On top of that, it's superior to a lint roller because it's a one-time investment versus an ongoing investment, and you can get much better into cracks. On top of that, a clothes brush can help you get into little contours such as a hat or the shoulders of a suit. You can even use it for shoes. However, I suggest to use brushes that you use for shoes, only for shoes and for nothing else. Otherwise, you get dirt and shoe polish all over your other items. The second thing that's better the old-fashioned way is natural fibers. In the 1930s, modern fibers, synthetic fibers, became popular and they were the new thing, and sometimes you would find them in bespoke garments. Today, a synthetic fiber is indicative of a lower-end garment because higher-end ones always rely on natural materials. No matter whether it's wool, cashmere, cotton, linen, silk, you name it. If you want a quality fabric, go for 100% natural materials. Unfortunately, regulations allow for items that are 90% of cotton and 2% of something else to be labeled as 100% cotton. So when it's unnaturally stretchy and it says 100% cotton, chances are there's some lycra in there or some synthetic that gives it a touch, and I'd rather stay clear of that and go for the 100% cotton. So why should you go with natural fibers? Generally, they have excellent properties. Cotton, for example, absorbs a lot of moisture. Wool does not, but it's a great insulator and it's a lot more wrinkle resistant. So depending on what you need, you can get a natural fiber that serves your purpose. Cashmere has a very small diameter with a low micron, and as such, it feels very soft in your skin. In terms of durability, natural fibers are good, but they're not as good as if they're blended with, let's say, polyester or nylon. Usually, if you have workwear or outdoor wear, you see these blend combinations. Maybe you see them even in a trench coat, and you can check out more about that in our trench coat guide here. Overall, the climate in a suit made of 100% wool is better. You sweat less. You feel more invigorated, the wrinkles will come out, it will drape nicer, and it will last longer without creating a shine that you see with synthetic fibers, especially if you iron them. Third thing that's better the old-fashioned way is suspenders. Sometimes known as braces, they have an advantage over belts in the sense that they hang off your shoulders, and as such, you can have your pants a little looser. Also, the pants will stay at the same level all day long, versus with a belt, they will usually slide down ever so slightly, so you constantly have to pull up your pants. So if you go with suspenders, you can go with clip-ons or with buttons. I personally prefer the buttons because they're sewn on and clip-ons can come off. They're also a cheaper version, so ideally you have a pair of pants that has buttons. I prefer them on the inside. You need 2 in the front on the left, 2 in the front on the right, 2 in the back, and you're good. Now, you sometimes see the fishtail trouser back, which are specifically made for suspenders, and they help to have the trouser hang neatly and be comfortable all day long. Suspenders provide a smooth look and your pants will look dapper all day. So if you go with a white tie ensemble, a tailcoat, a morning coat, or maybe a black tie or tuxedo or dinner jacket outfit, always go for suspenders and skip the belt. Also, if you wear a vest or a waistcoat, go for the suspender because the belt will make the bottom of your waistcoat bunch up and it looks unfavorable. Fourth item that's better the old-fashioned way is a good old wooden hanger. I know you'll probably see those plastic ones these days and they're a lot less expensive and you can get more in your closet. However, having a nice wooden hanger that is matte and that can absorb some sweat and that supports your shoulder is much better for your jacket any day. The fifth item that's better the old-fashioned way is a fountain pen. Most people these days use just a ballpoint pen, and that's all they know, that's all they have. With a fine nib, ideally in gold, you create a really nice font, and with a little more pressure, you get wider lines and slimmer lines, which makes your signature fake-proof. And on top of that, it's just a nicer, cleaner line. It's just also more fun to write, and I infinitely preferred to a ballpoint pen. As you may know, fountain pens was the thing that started my whole interest in classic men's clothing, because as a 14-year-old boy, I found one on eBay, and when I got it, it was very similar to what I had as my school fountain pen, so I sold it again, made a lot of money, and from then on decided to buy and sell fountain pens all over the world, and so I got into cufflinks and to clothing, and that's where I am today. The only time a fountain pen is not ideal is when you're on a plane, because of the different air pressure, the ink can leak. So if you travel by plane, make sure your nib always points up. If you like the convenience of a ballpoint pen, but you want to use real ink, check out a rollerball, and you can learn more about fountain pens in our guide on our website here. We also have guides on rollerball pens and ballpoint pens. The sixth thing that's better the old-fashioned way is a photo album. I know most people take pictures with their phones today, and that's nice and convenient, and you can snap shots that you otherwise would never take. However, having a physical photo album that you can go through with your parents or your loved ones, it's just a one-of-a-kind experience that can't be replicated on a screen. It also makes for a wonderful gift because it's tangible and it has a higher value, and sometimes in print the quality can really outshine a mobile phone. They also made for a great decoration on coffee tables. These days you can also have your digital pictures made into hardbound photo albums that you can design online. It's a very nice gift for loved ones, for friends, or people that are dear to your heart. The seventh item you should invest in is a cast iron pan. Cast iron can be heated to incredibly high temperatures, and if you grease them right, they're naturally non-stick. A Teflon pan is nice and has its uses. However, over time, the Teflon coating will chip. It's bad for your health, versus a cast iron pan, if you treat it well and don't put it into a moist environment, will last you a lifetime. And it's great for searing steaks, making eggs, and maybe not something that's acidic like tomato sauce, but other than that, it's great to have a cast iron pan in your repertoire. The eighth thing that's better the old-fashioned way is good old hats. The reason being, back in the day, a lot of men wore hats, and so there were companies that focused exclusively on the higher end of the market. There was also more felt available, and the quality was simply superior. Today, there are few hat manufacturers and very few that make felt, and so the quality has declined. On top of that, you can find vintage hats that have nice finishes, such as this velour finish, which is very hard to find, especially in this quality today. If you're concerned of buying a used hat because someone else has worn it before, rest assured that you can replace the headband and you can clean your hat. That way, it's new and at a fraction of the cost of a new hat. For example, the hat I'm wearing here right now cost me merely 20 bucks, and this one I actually bought for $3 at a flea market. Here, I had the headband replaced on the outside at a local hatter, and it costs another $5, but it really changes the look and it really goes well with my suit. All you need in order to buy a vintage felt hat is your head size, and you can easily measure that in centimeters around your head and then simply convert it to head sizes. In case you can't find them at local stores or at flea markets, it pays to check on eBay because you'll always find some there in your size. Now that we discussed things, let's talk about activities. The ninth thing you should do that's better the old-fashioned way is getting dressed to go in public. I know it's tempting to just wear your sweatpants or your pajamas to go and grab some groceries. At the same time, if you have respect for yourself and you show up properly attired or nicely attired, people will recognize you for it, they will respect you more, they pay you more respect, and you'll get better service and people will think of you more highly, and overall you have a better experience, and it also makes you feel different yourself, which expresses itself in the way you walk, the way you talk, and the way you appear. 11. Handwritten notes. If you write your condolences because someone died, or if you write a thank you card, actually using a handwritten note has so much more weight than a Facebook message that says, "I'm feeling with you." To learn more about funeral etiquette, please check out our video here. And for a guide on handwritten notes, head over here. 12. Have a difficult conversation in person. I know it can be tempting to text someone or to talk to them over the phone if you're upset with them, or maybe use an instant messenger or Facebook to express your discontent. However, in person, what you say can be very different depending on the way you look and how you express yourself, and that has a huge impact. Also, people are less likely to be mean in person than if they're on the phone and further removed. And as a gentleman, it really pays to have that respect to others and show up in person. And even if it's a hard conversation because you have to fire someone or you have to cancel a contract, it's usually much better and the outcome will be much better. And there may be a chance in the future to re-sign or work with them again if you do it in person. It's also important to give them the opportunity to respond and not to interrupt them. 13. Hosting an actual dinner party. I sometimes get an invitation on Facebook which says, "Oh, meet me at this restaurant." And I always think, that's not a real invitation, that's just a way to hang out with each other. However, if I'm having a dinner party and I put the effort into it, I create the menu, I look at the wines, the dessert wines, and maybe other things that I want to show to people, maybe I combine it with a slideshow from my last vacation, it's just a much nicer, warmer experience. It's in your own space, which gives you the opportunity to be comfortable and create an environment where people can openly discuss what they want without being disturbed by others. And on top of that, it's just the best way to get to know people. And if you have never hosted a dinner party, I strongly suggest you give it a try, even if you have no experience with it and even if you're not a great cook, because other people will respect you for it and you'll be invited to dinner parties, which is fun in return. And it's just a great way to hang out with friends or new people that you want to get to know. 14th thing is using a real camera. Not only is it much faster when it comes to autofocus and the speed of shooting, but it's also more accurate, and because you have a larger sensor, you can separate an object much better. Because of that, portraits of people look a lot better, and if you want to frame something, resize something, or make something into a poster, always go at least with a DSLR, ideally with a full-frame sensor, and if money is no object, a medium format digital sensor. Of course, you can also go with film photography, however that requires a lot more skill and most people can't do that anymore because they simply don't know how to operate one. I know using your cell phone is much easier, it's more convenient. However, because the sensor is so small, everything is usually in focus, the background as well as the foreground, and it's just a hallmark of a cheap picture with a cheap camera. So it's not something you can actually frame or show to people when you print it because the quality is simply not as good. The 15th thing to do the old-fashioned way is wet shaving. I know electric shavers are quite convenient and they can be handy when you travel. However, if you want a high-quality shave, going with a double-edged razor is simply very quick and it gives you a great result. Even compared to Gillette Fusion or the Dollar Shave Clubs of the world, it's much less expensive, gives you a better result, and it's very simple. It's also greener because you only have one simple blade that you can throw away and recycle versus that whole plastic cartridge. Oh, and did I say it costs a lot less? It definitely does. You can find blades starting at like 2 cents, and so you can even afford to have a new blade for every shave, which gives you a superior shave, but at the same time, it keeps the cost very low. To learn more about shaving, please check out our in-depth shaving guide here. 16. Taking notes by hand. I know it's very tempting these days to take notes of a conversation, a meeting, or a presentation on your phone or on your laptop, but research has shown that the comprehension and the ability to remember things is much higher if you actually write it down by hand. So if you're studying for a test, or if you have to really comprehend something, go with pen and paper because it's simply superior to a new device. Last but not least, going with good old-fashioned thrifting or even furniture thrifting can be a great way to save money, to be sustainable, and to have a quality product that would have otherwise cost you a whole lot more. When it comes to clothes, you can find great finds such as Savile Row suits or high-end shirts at a huge markdown. Of course, it requires a lot of time, and if you don't have that, maybe eBay is a better way to go. On the other hand, local estate sales can be fantastic to find vintage ties or even furniture. Just the other day, we bought a nice set of a couch and a chair, and originally it cost $14,000. It was a company called Heirloom, and you can just tell it's a silk velvet. It's a very high quality, it's extremely comfortable, and we got the set for just $900, For that price, I couldn't have even gotten an IKEA couch, and I hate IKEA couches because they're supremely uncomfortable and they wear out very quickly. If you all break it down to one thing, the good old things are usually of higher quality and they were designed with longevity in mind. Sometimes these days it seems like a product was designed to break down just a few days after the warranty expired, whereas back in the day, they just tried to make a really good product that would stand the test of time. Our grandparents' generation expected an item to last, and so should you. Also, if you break it down of cost per wear, you'll probably find that a quality pair of shoes or a quality suit will outperform a cheaper counterpart. Generally, it takes a bit more research to find a quality item, but if you come to the Gentleman's Gazette, we're all about quality and we'll try to highlight how you can find a good thing no matter what the size of your wallet is. If you enjoyed this video, please sign up to our free email newsletter, and videos like this will come right to your inbox, and we'll also have free PDF guides that help you identify quality so you look your best. So in this video, my outfit consists of a dark blue fedora hat from Miser, which is a German company. It's vintage. I'm wearing a about 90s or early 2000s Ralph Lauren purple label suit with chalk stripes. It's 6.2 double-breasted, has nice white lapels with a nice cut belly. I'm wearing a Fort Belvedere pocket square with wool and silk that contrasts in texture with the fine merino wool and cashmere blend of the suit, as well as the red madder silk tie. It's not a bright red, it's a muted red, and it's very sophisticated with a white dress shirt and a navy suit. I'm wearing a white double-cuff dress shirt from Siniscalchi in Milano. I'm wearing it with the carnelian and sterling silver cufflinks from Fort Belvedere, and I'm pairing it with a ring that I found vintage that is also sterling silver and carnelian. My shoes are a oxblood or burgundy red pair of Oxfords from Ace Marks, and I'm pairing them with a pair of shadow stripe blue and red socks from Fort Belvedere, which you can find here. As always, you can find Fort Belvedere accessories in our shop here. See you next time.